and welcome to Dining with Doris. Thank you to Dr. Carolyn Pickens, who is the facilitator for the Jewels Ministry, and my friend and an excellent leader, Pam Sims, who is the chairperson. My guests today are Myrtle Marrow and Mary Butler. My guests will reveal how their family dynamics determined just what their professions would be. These are two fierce trailblazers. I call them Butler and Morrow. Listen as they uncover the journey to success. Myrtle has had a distinguished career as a surgical nurse. I met Myrtle Marrow approximately 40 years ago. Along with her husband, C.K. Morrow, I found them to be true Christian friends. This couple was always so kind and very attentive. When my mom died, they were the first couple to show up with food and attention for me and my family, even though we were right in the middle of a hurricane. Hello, Myrtle.
Hello.
Introduce yourself to us.
Well, first I want to say thank you, Doris, for inviting me to participate in this program. And I am a registered nurse, worked for about 43 years. My earliest, as I can call my earliest childhood, I was age 2. And my family decided that they were going to relocate because my daddy was going to be a sharecropper. We moved from Ore City, Texas, to Longview, Texas. Now, Ore City is located near Gilmer, Texas, and Longview, Texas is located near Kilgore. My dad was a sharecropper, and his name was Ambrosie Balcom. My mother's name was Viola Balcom. We were poverty-stricken, but very happy. My dad often would make our toys. We had lots of homemade toys. He did many things. He was the shoe repair person in our family. And when he finished them, they were not beautiful. We were 5 girls and 4 boys. And sometimes crowded in those bedrooms that we had there because we had 11 people in one house. I didn't tell you my mother's name. She was Viola Balcom. She was a gardener and an excellent cook. Now, the thing that I remembered about my mom was she had this routine designed so that she would go to the store with my father when he was shopping for the food for the animals. During my time back there, the animals' food was stored in beautiful printed sacks. And my mom would get those sacks and make clothing for the girls, and they were simply beautiful. Now, the thing that bothered me most was the sharecropping deal. I didn't sign up for sharecropping because I did not like being out in the hot sun and the fields. So my dad said we all had to sharecrop. When they would take me out to the field, there was grasshoppers, snakes, all of these crawling and jumping critters all around me. And it made me extremely nervous. When I would pick cotton all morning, And at noon, I didn't even have enough to register the scale because I was so busy watching for something to come up and attack me. Grasshoppers, I was running from grasshoppers. So my dad decided that maybe I shouldn't go to the field. I should stay home and help my mother. And that was a beautiful position that he gave me. I loved being at home with mom. So I did not have to go back to the field anymore. Now, the other things that concerned me was the boys who are members of a sharecropping family has to drop out of school whenever they are needed, which means their grades are not adequate. They can't keep up. And this was what was happening to my brothers. Out of all the boys, 4 boys in my family, none of them received a college degree. But the good part about that was God blessed them when they got married and got families. They did not have to want for anything. Now, the girls, most of us had degrees or things that we could do, like secretarial. I had one daughter, sister that was a secretary, and the others were teachers or nurses or what have you. And it often disturbed me when I hear my daddy talking to his friends. They would ask him about his family, and he would tell them what every child was doing. But when he got to my name, he said, my baby Myrtle is a sick nurse. And this really would tickle them because he meant that I took care of sick people. He didn't mean that I was a sick nurse. So this was kind of disturbing for me. The thing that our school, I want to tell you about my elementary school. As I grew up, we had a 1-room building. The teacher had to teach every class, one teacher. The books that they gave us were terrible. We could not have new books. We had to take the books that was donated from the white school. And some of them were dirty. Some of them had missing pages. But my real joy came out of the fact that although we had these ugly, dirty books, our teacher would make sure that we not become distracted over that we were to study, and she made sure that we did our best. And she was very good, a very, very good teacher. Now, the other thing that disturbed us was we walked almost 3 miles to school every morning back home. No adult or anything, my sister and I. And we were safe. God took care of us. But when we left elementary school, where we were the 8th grade, we were going to high school, we were going to have to catch a bus. The bus stop was a long ways from our house. So my father decided to send us to Gilmer, Texas, where we had a relative living, and we went to the New Mountain School. Now, this was in an all-Black community. We lived very close to the school, and we had a blast. We enjoyed singing with the choir and participating with the Interscholastic League Association. We competed for things, won a few prizes. I was a speller. I can't spell now, But I was a speller, and, I could spell then. The other thing that we did was had a church within walking distance. So we really enjoyed being in Gilmer, So after my sister was 1 year older than I, so she went to college, and my parents brought me back to Longview, and I stayed with my older brother. And I went to high school 1 year at Longview Colored High School. There was a nurse there that was beautiful, and I really fell in love with her because she had such beautiful personality. And I decided at that point that I was going to be a nurse. So I graduated from high school with honors, and I heard about the Jesse Jones Nursing Scholarship. So I applied, and they gave it to me. And this scholarship was the key to me getting an education, because my parents would have never been able to send me to college. When I received the scholarship, I enrolled at Prairie View A&M College. It was a long ways from home. I had never been away from home by myself before. So at that time, I was doing part-time at a upclass, really, really rich store in Longview. And they had told me, if you select the clothes you want, we will help you to purchase them. And I told them, just go ahead and give me what you can, but I can't even attempt to pay for these clothes. So they did. They helped me to get something to wear and get this big, big trunk and put it on the train. I'd never been away from my family. Went all the way to Prairie View. When I got to Prairie View, we had nothing but our academic nursing courses. And I studied hard, because if you fail one class, if we had failed in one class, they would have sent us home, because there's no way to rejoin that group. You had a rigid routine. You're in nursing, you have to pass every course or either get out. So I passed every course so that I wouldn't have to go back to the field. Well, fast forward, Prairie View, after a year in nursing, decided that we should go to Jeff Davis Hospital for our clinical practice. So we went to Jeff Davis in Houston, Texas, for clinical practice. When we got there, the living conditions were good, but not very good. But we had challenges in the living facilities, but most of us had challenges at home anyway, so it didn't make that much difference. But we started doing our clinical practice at Jeff Davis Hospital. The thing that we regretted was the people at Jeff Davis, the head nurses, decided that they needed a way to identify when you answered the phone, whether you were Black or white. So the Black nurses had to answer the phone and say, "This is Unit 942, Nurse Morrow speaking." And when the white nurses would answer the phone, they were told to say, "Miss so-and-so is speaking." We complained to our supervisor, and she told us that Don't worry about what we're called. Go on and get an education. So that is exactly what we did. We were nurses and they were miss. So the clinical practice in Jeff Davis was bad because they made, after we became senior nursing students, we had to work the night shift occasionally as charge nurse. Can you imagine a student nurse in charge of a whole unit and people up there sick? That was very disturbing, but we did it. If you have a problem, they say, you're in charge, but the supervisor will come if you call her. Well, what do you know? One night I had a patient crash. In the olden days, hospitals didn't have a telephone in the room with the patient. They didn't even have one down the hall. We had to walk back to the desk to get to a telephone. Well, my patient crashed. I couldn't leave the patient. So I asked my little nursing helpers, take this phone and call Dr. Whoever was on call and tell him we need him stat. So he came running and we did get the patient stabilized. Then we called the supervisor. Well, he was so upset that when he got up there, it was nothing but rookies. He complained, and that solved the problem. We didn't have to work the night shift by ourselves anymore. We had help.
So far in every case, Myrtle, you have answered what your supervisors, your parents, your relatives wanted you to do. Mm-hmm. And so it sounds like you were very agreeable. And because of that, you learned a lot of lessons during that time.
I did.
A lot of lessons.
I did.
And now you're at John Seeley in
Galveston.
In Galveston. Okay.
We passed our courses at John Seeley, and they sent us back to Jeff Davis and there we, after finishing all of our years in nursing school, it was time for us to get our diplomas. They didn't give degrees at that time at Prairie. We had to have the diploma, and then we would take state board and we would be official nurses. Well, won't you know that when I finished and got my little diploma and we went to state board, passed state board, that was a very exciting time for me. I had to drop out of nursing school and go to work. My first job was there at the Jeff Davis Hospital. And we were just overwhelmed with work. Sometimes if we were really busy in surgery, someone would be running through the door with another patient saying, we have an emergency, we need a room stat. And those issues we worked out, but the thing that made me leave Jeff Davis was I talked to one of my friends who was white, and she revealed the fact that the white nurses were making more than the black nurses. So I applied for the VA. I went to the VA, and they said they had good benefits, lots of good benefits. I was going to be able to have a role when I retired and all of that. So I was excited going to the VA. I'm going to get rich. Well, I get to the VA and they made us work like a month on the 11 to 7 shift. By the time your body adjusts so you can sleep, then they pull you over to the evening shift and then the next shift. Well, that was just running me crazy because work all day and you can't sleep. When you get so you can sleep, you got to move to the next thing. Oh, that was running me crazy. So finally, they were able to get stabilized with the time. The good part about it was we did a lot. They let us do what we call the clinical ladder. The more you teach, the more you do, then you get a little raise in salary. Well, for little me, I wanted more money, so I volunteered to teach technicians, nurses, medical students, anybody. We would have classes. I taught the CO2 laser, where lasers was very new and different at that time. But, everything that we had to learn and make sure that we did it right.
Myrtle, I was interested in the laser because you learned how to use laser and then you taught other people how to use it.
Absolutely.
And that's extremely important because you were one of the first people to do that. And the first person you were really impressed with was a school
nurse. That's right.
That's right. So now you're back and working with that education environment.
Absolutely. And the one thing I like about it is when you're in a hospital setting, you are not to use any equipment unless you know what you're doing with it, because you can injure the patient. So I studied laser because I knew I had to work with it and I needed to learn. But then after I saw that other people needed it, well, I'm in the career ladder program, so I'm going to teach this person and I'm going to teach this person. And while I was there, I had the honor and the privilege of working with Dr. Michael DeBakey and Dr. Denton Cooley. They were there working with doctors and medical students and et cetera. So this was really, they are renowned surgeons all over the world. So this was a big thing for me to work with them at the VA hospital. I enjoyed working there because everybody was so kind and gentle and everything, and they worked together. Everybody worked together. So I really enjoyed the VA. I worked there for 31 years.
I was going to ask, Myrtle, how long did you work at the VA?
31 years, long years. And wonderful. The reason that I left VA was the new nurses, I should say, new graduates. They were hiring new graduates. They were paying them almost what I was making. And we felt like, the older nurses felt like that we were being mistreated, because when they came in, we had to teach them what to do. And we were not being paid properly. So we asked for a raise. And they told us that we will give you a package to leave, but we will not give you a raise. So I thought, this sounds scary. I'm going to check into this. I talked to my financial advisor, and he said, take the money and run and go get you a job somewhere else. So that's exactly what I did. Well, when I retired from the VA, the next thing I did, I met one of the ladies who was with me in the Operating Room Association of Houston, Texas, was a supervisor. She was like over the unit, supervisor at Methodist Hospital. Her name was Jane Shin. So I said, would you hire me if I leave the VA? And she said, if you leave today, I'll hire you today. So I went home, retired from the VA, took 2 weeks off, and started working at the Methodist Hospital. Now, I enjoyed Methodist because I worked in the day surgery area, didn't have to take a lot of call. And the patient holding area was close to the operating room. So when it was time to take a patient to surgery, they permitted me or any nurse that was in that room to go to the patient, and the nurse brought the patient back. And you get this closeness, you know. I received so many flowers from people who were delighted that I was associating with the family, you know, and all of this. So we stayed there, VA, and worked a while. I don't mean, not VA, Methodist. Methodist,
Uh-huh.
yeah. We worked there. I went there just to work 5 years so that I would be eligible for the Social Security check along with my pension check. Well, I worked there for 13 years. We had parties. We it was just kind of like a family situation. And they were kind enough to let me have time off to go to all of these tours that Doc was doing. I had a niece that was a professor at the University of Fairbanks, Alaska. They were also doing tours. I got to travel with them some. But it finally came to the time when the nurses was complaining. They said they were partial to Myrtle and they were giving me too much time off. And they were right. They were partial to me. So when I would go on tour, I was crazy. I brought my scrapbook and I would put it out and I would be telling them everything that we had done and how exciting it was. Well, wouldn't you know, I quit getting all of that time off. So I decided, well, it's time for me to really retire because I had signed up for the Smooth Jazz Cruise. Has anybody been on the Smooth Jazz Cruise? You need to go. It is so nice. I signed up for Smooth Jazz Cruise. They said I couldn't go. So I was very disappointed. And my husband said, we're going. You just go ahead and retire. So I retired and we got hooked on the Smooth Jazz Cruise. We went. I didn't mention the awards that I received. I received quite a few awards from the different hospitals where I worked. But the reason that I'm rushing, I want to tell you about how beneficial it is to receive a scholarship. Do you realize that if I had not gotten the Jesse Jones scholarship, I don't know where or what I would have done for a living. And, you know, every time I think about that, I just thank God for Jesse Jones. But it has been my mission since that time to work with people who are giving scholarships. And I am a member of the Fort Bend County Black Nurses Association, and they have a scholarship program which I participated in every year. Also, Brentwood has a scholarship. Brentwood Baptist Church has a scholarship program. I've been with that program probably for over 30 years.
Yes.
I've worked hard. I beg hard. And it's one member of my church whose name I refuse to call has called me Brentwood's greatest beggar. Now that's my new name for him. So anyway, this scholarship program, I was asking Gus exactly how many students that we have helped during the years. And it's been a tremendous amount, over 1,000, I'm sure. But I am still with that program, and I encourage everybody to help our children, encourage them. And this is my mission. Our husband, Chauncey K. Morrow, which I have not mentioned during this whole time that I've been talking, but he was a sweetheart, and he supported me in everything that I did. He did not like traveling with me because he didn't like to walk. So we elected for him to do his vacation separate from mine. So we did separate vacations. I didn't mention my daughter, Lashina. She received a scholarship from, who was this? I don't even know. I don't even remember the name of the company that gave her the scholarship. I don't even remember. But anyway, she's in engineering. So she received an engineering scholarship and graduated as an engineer, and then went on to receive another degree after getting her engineering degree in business. So, and of course, my grandson, Chase, which I love dearly, did not receive a scholarship, but graduated from college also. So I am into education. In our religious spectrum, we have this song that say that if you help somebody as you travel along, then your living will not be in vain. So I am encouraging everybody that hear my voice to get into in some way support the scholarship programs. We don't know who these people will become if we help them. So my last plea is help somebody as you travel along. You may say that I need the money or whatever, but if you donate whatever amount that you would like to donate, we don't say do big amounts, just do what you can do. And at this point, I'm the only one left in a family of 9. I'm the only person that's alive. And God has blessed me. My church family surrounds me. So it's just like my family is still with me because it's just been beautiful. So I want everybody that hear me today, please do what God has asked you to do, but in your mission to help people, please help somebody get an education. Thank you.
Myrtle.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Wonderful, wonderful reflection of your career, how you got there and what you did. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you for inviting me.
Mary Ernestine Butler was a celebrated lifelong educator. The first time I observed Butler was when she directed the choir at our church. She was confident, spiritual, and everyone truly felt her inspiring personality. I'd already met her son. He had endeared himself to my family. Benji has been a member of our Brentwood Sunday School for many, many years. Miss Butler, welcome and share your life journey with us.
Thank you so much for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm excited. My name is Mary Ernestine Bascom Butler. Bascom is my maiden name. Kind of unusual, but that's it. I have hailed from Pensacola, Florida. My father and mother were delighted to have me as their child. I feel that I was abundantly blessed to have Deacon Ernest and Alice Bascom as parents. They are deceased now, but they were deeply rooted in Jesus Christ. And consequently, I felt the same way. And they taught me to love Jesus. And they taught me at a very early age. Now, my father was a deacon in the Primitive Baptist Church, and my mother was choir director at the Methodist Church that was AME Zion Church in Pensacola. I started taking music at age 8, and I worked hard so that I could play for Sunday school. By 11, I was playing for Sunday school and playing for the young adult choir not the young adults, but the youth choir at my father's church. But let me tell you about Sunday school. I would play for Sunday school at my mother's church and then get a cab for 25 cents and go to the other side of town to my father's church to play for the youth choir. This was an enormous experience, and I enjoyed it so very, very much. I played for Sunday school for many, many years until it was time for me to go to college. But I missed saying that I graduated from Booker T. Washington High School in Pensacola, Florida. There were several scholarships, Myrtle, that I received, but they were small. And of course, my parents were somewhat able to send me on to school. I chose Florida A&M or FAMU to receive my education. My favorite teachers were Dr. Rebecca Steele, who was over the choir and over the choral music department at FAMU. Dr. William Foster was in charge of the band and in charge of the music department at FAMU when I was there. I was able to spend maybe 2 or 3 hours per day in being the librarian for the choir. But I also was in Dr. Foster's conducting class, and I was able to work there in the office for about 2 hours or so every day. I don't know how I managed, but I did. And I finished Florida A&M, and I loved my choir teacher so well. She was a student and had graduated from Teachers College at Columbia University. I chose Columbia University Teachers College in New York City to do my master's degree. I studied there with Harry Robert Wilson, who is a renowned, or was a renowned, choral teacher at Teachers College. He was one of my favorites there. I always get a favorite when I go to school. I think that's the best way to get a favorite. But
You
anyway.
have a favorite, and I think they have a favorite too.
Anyway, Dr. Dr. Wilson kind of took me under his wings, and I became a youth or young conductor under his tutelage. When I finished Columbia, I went on to do my that was my master's. I went on to do further study at Indiana University, and there I was a member of the choir there, and I was able to
Me. Is that when you met your husband?
No. Well, I already knew him.
Okay.
We were in high school together.
I see.
But anyway, when I wanted to further my education, I went on to Indiana University and was a member of the university opera chorus. I recall being a beautiful experience and a thrilling experience because we were able to perform Turandot at the World's Fair in New York City in 1964. That's been a long time. By that time, the wedding bells were beginning to ring, and I was able to marry Benjamin Butler, who was the associate director of bands at Tennessee State University in Nashville, Tennessee. We were there for 9 years, and I was choir director at Cameron High School, and I just loved that. I enjoyed it so much. And during that time, we were getting ready for Christmas, and my choir was able to do the entire Christmas section of the Messiah. And that was a wonderful, wonderful experience. And I also included some of the staff from Fisk University to sing along with us. A wonderful experience. We were able then to relocate to Houston, Texas, where my husband had accepted the job of being the band director at Texas Southern University. And he was the founder of the Ocean of Soul marching band at Texas Southern University, which he enjoyed tremendously. Now,
Phyllis Wheatley High School,
yes,
I understand.
yes, I was choir director at Phyllis Wheatley High School, and that was a good experience. I had most of the basketball players and football players in my choir. So I had no discipline problems. They helped a whole lot. But anyway, we went to many of the of many of the places at Christmas time to do programs when I was there.
Yes. I just wanted to say that you worked in education and music for a long time. And when you retired, were you at Jack Yates High School?
I was at Jack Yates High School when I retired, but I had already been at Phyllis Wheatley for about 11 years.
Yes.
And then I went to Jack Yates and retired there in 2000. That's been a long time. But I retired because I had open heart surgery. So I didn't go back to teach. I went on and retired. But my experience, in working with religious groups at various churches. My first church was Mount Pilgrim in the Heights. I worked there for about 5 years. And then I heard that Reverend Everett at Jerusalem Missionary Baptist Church liked anthems and hymns. And in addition to the gospel songs and so forth, I accepted the job at Jerusalem and worked there for about 30 years and enjoyed that experience tremendously. When I was there, I moved into Phyllis Wheatley. On that side of town, I wanted to teach the kids that were involved in music or not involved, so that I could teach them as well. And so I accepted the job at Sloan Memorial Methodist Church. And that was a good experience as director there. For one thing, we were invited to be the first African American choir to perform at the ordination service at the First Methodist Church downtown. And that was a wonderful experience, being the first. It's always good to be the first. And so, a wonderful experience that was. After I changed schools and went to Jack Yates, then I went back to Jerusalem. That's when I spent the majority of the time, about 30 years or so. The degrees that I have had or that I have obtained are the bachelor's degree in music education, all levels, the master's degree in choral music, all levels, And so I was able to teach all levels except the little ones, except the kindergarten. I'm not interested in that age group. I like the older um, kids. I was able to organize activities and and uh, at Jerusalem. I had a competent music staff. The music staff included my guitarist, my keyboardist, my piano player, um, my organist. So I didn't have anything to do but teach and direct. And that was good. For the many years that I was there, I enjoyed the experience. Some of the organizations that have thought well of me and and given me a wonderful array of awards. Eta Phi Beta sorority as outstanding musician, top ladies of distinction, outstanding service, National Women of Achievement, dedicated service, Sigma Gamma Rho Incorporated, dedicated musical performance, Alpha Kappa Omega chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority as outstanding musician. In my sorority, I am chair of the music, and I am also the chorale leader for my sorority. In my sorority, I have served 65 years. I am now a Pearl soror. I look forward to, if God sees the fit, to be a Diamond soror. That means I will have served 75 years. So I have 10 more years to go. So pray for me.
We will.
I think I've already mentioned that my husband is Benjamin Butler. My son is Benji Butler also. That's Benjamin the third. And he is a member of the Sunday school class at Brentwood. This class is a special needs class. And he was one of the first to be a member of that class after it was organized from a white church. And we brought it to Brentwood at the time. And that's been many years ago. My son was baptized at Brentwood, and consequently, my husband and I visited as much as we could. And my son, enjoyed being at Brentwood so much. That's why my husband and I are members of Brentwood Baptist Church.
Mr. Butler, thank you so much. This has been just a divine experience this morning. And I want to thank both of you for your presentations and telling us about your life, and so impactful. Thank you so much for tuning in to our episode of Dining with Doris. I pray you recognize the resilience of these two women. They are women who recognize the opportunity. However, when the opportunity presented itself, you were right there and ready for the challenge. Please note that if you have a subject you would like us to cover, you are welcome to contact the Brentwood Baptist Church so that in the future we can use your idea as a subject. Thank you so much.